Hello everyone, it is about minus 400 billion degrees in here. I need myself a little heater or something in here because it is cold. But we're doing another video on the Ami. So if you haven't seen already, we have a Citroen Ami in the workshop. Now I'm filming this the day before the video before this goes up because I'm going to Paris tomorrow, which is Friday. So Friday, the video before this will upload of this. Anyway, we got an Ami here, and if you didn't know already, we are bagging it. So yeah, today I'm gonna start pulling it apart. I'm gonna pull the front bumper off. I'm gonna pull the rear bumper off, get good access to everything. And then gonna start trying to mock up some wheels and suspension into the arch and see what limitations surface. So yeah, I'm gonna start ripping the front of that off. Wish me luck. I just dropped my gun and the battery broke. Right, so I wanted to put the compressor here, but it's a bit bigger than I thought it was. I thought, oh, that might be a decent space. We won't have to make any brackets. Too big, too big. So, time to just rip the strut out. The strut is held in like that. So this top plate here, like all comes off as one, and then the top mount mounts to the top plate, from what I can see, which is very weird, but yeah, let's get the strut out. Right, strut out. It's it's nice under here. Look at that. They outdone themselves there, you know? Anyway, this is the weirdest strut top ever. So you obviously got your top mount, and then it bolts on upside down sort of thing, and then you have to undo all the outside bolts to then undo the top mount bolts, which is, well, dumb. So I'm gonna try and see if our top mounts will bolt into there, put them on the car, and we'll have a look and see how much it doesn't fit. Right, top plate is off, or on the bench. This is the Mark II Golf top mount. It doesn't actually fit the Citroen Ami top plate, we're going to call it. Can you believe the Mark II Golf doesn't actually bolt onto a Citroen Ami? Crazy, crazy. But we actually need a little bit of camber for the wheels. And if we do that, get that back hole in there, and we can basically just line this up, mark out where it needs to go, and we can just re-drill those holes, and that's going to bring the strut in ever so slightly, and it will give us just enough camber to fit our wheels. In theory anyway, there's obviously something else that we need to take into account, and that is the struts. We got here, obviously the original strut is quite long, and this strut here is obviously pretty much fully extended. Now, as you can see, fully extended bag is a lot shorter than the full strut. Now this would compress a little bit more like this, but this would be full height. It wouldn't really get any longer than this, just because of the style of the bag. If it was a double bellow, it would obviously expand a little bit more, but because this is a sleeve style bag, it won't really stretch that much. It will do a little bit, but not a lot. We're talking like 5-10 mil. Back to the camber situation. So as you can see, the hub, which would be here, bolts on a lot further away from sort of this bit here than this one. So this is quite close to the main strut, and this one is obviously clearly further away. So obviously it'll still bolt in at exactly the same place at the top, but the hub, which would normally sit here, would be sitting here, and then to bolt it up you'd have to bring the hub in, and this would be your camber going in. So you're already going to get camber extra just by bolting that one in there. Bag strut in, it's bolted in one bolt. Look, it needs a bit of a elongation on that hole, annoyingly, but yeah, the cable doesn't actually do anything. But we obviously bolted in a few bolts up there. Now we can see if it like goes low enough, which it should do. Safe to say there's enough camber on it. Let me straighten the wheel. Oh no, steering lock's on. Loads of camber. Okay, the wheel's gonna fit either way. Let's get it on the floor and see if it goes low enough. we have a problem. That is massively disappointing. That has not even gone low in the slightest. Probably lowered it 40 mil. And here's me thinking it was going to be too low. Wow. I know. I've been told that there is bump stops in here that I need to take out. That massive bump stop in there. That's got to be at least an inch. Let me get that out and we'll try again. Okay, this actually wasn't a bump stop. That was just a cover on that. So, what a terrible bag. Look at this. Look at this here. Look at this. That is nearly 3 inches of travel lost in the bag because of the design of, well, the strut, basically. What on earth is that? That is so dumb. Which obviously is not ideal in any situation whatsoever, because we need to lower the car considerably. Wow, that's a bit annoying. Obviously we've got lots of lift, that's great, but we need to do some extra modifications because that really doesn't low. I was under the assumption that it would literally fully compress and go really low, but it's literally done nothing near. I've done a basic little trick here so I can see how low it needs to go, which is, well, it's this little ruler that is imitating the road. Like, it might be 1 or 2 mil off, but if we measure off of that, we have there. So yeah, just over 3 inches of drop we need. That's quite a lot of drop that we need to gain with a strut that we can't really modify. I know for a fact that our rolling radius of the new wheels are 5 mil smaller, so we'll get the car 5 mil closer to the ground just by putting the other wheels on. But yeah, still a lot of room we need to gain. So I'm gonna see how high it goes right now. Look, that's plenty high enough. And we've got, that's 8 inches. So we've got about 5 inches of lift, like to max height. So we need to do some modification. Up we go. Right, so I've been looking up there and there's a big pocket we've got there, which is just over 4 inches in depth. So I'm just thinking about this as I'm working on it. This is one of those videos where I'm working it out as I go along because I've obviously never done this before. So I'm just figuring out what needs to be done. And you'll just get in like my live reaction as I come into all these problems. So the series is always going to be like just second guessing. Like I can estimate some stuff, but this is just like, oh, extra modification needs doing, and I need to figure it out. So this is what I'm thinking. So we've got our strut here. This bolts onto the body, and then the strut bolts onto like the top plate. So I was thinking if we raise the strut here on this plate, so this will bolt to the body as normal, but then the strut will go through the body. And if we raise this 3.5 inches, we should lay absolutely on the floor. We've got obviously over 4 inches in that little pocket at the top, but we only needed to lower the car just over 3 inches. So I don't want to do 4 inches because then you lose 0.5 inches of lift. So you just want to raise it as much as you need to, because if I lower it 4 inches, it will technically lower through the ground and then you will lose lift. So yeah, 3.5 inch raise on this little strut top plate will then obviously allow us to basically raise the strut top without affecting the body on this particular car, which is super weird. So that being bolted on like that has sort of helped us. Just need to make sure the bag fits in that little pocket. Plenty of room. So obviously the bag sits somewhere like this now, 3.5 inches higher, will be like this. So yeah, plenty of room there. This is an unexpected modification. Annoying, but it looks like it might just be the only way. Right, next. That's better. Look at that. That is better. That's also quite a lot of camber as well, so we don't need that much camber. What I've actually done there is I've taken that little top plate off, which is here. I've took that off and I've literally just put the strut up in the arch. And that has allowed us to obviously tuck a lot more and nearly, very nearly, get full drop. Obviously I can't pick it up anymore. It still needs a bit more weight to compress the bag a bit. But that has sort of made it a lot closer to being laid out flat. There is obviously more drop to go. It's looking quite involved, let's say. It's quite involved to making that fit how I want it to fit. But we move. Everything sort of looks okay here. Axle seems fairly okay. Arms, I've loosened this bolt off here just to give us a little bit of articulation, but I still want more lows. More lows. That's not enough. This is one of my favorite tricks, is to get the spirit level on the bottom of the wheel, get that level, and then you can sort of see how high the sill is going to be off the ground. And as you can see there, you still need more. This is the struggle that we're living with here. I need to look closely at other stuff. And I think we can lose 10 or so mil off that. That's quite a lot. That's quite a deep top mount. Like, you don't need that big, massive bearing on there. You can get a different bearing on there. More modification required. It's going to be a jiggery pokery to get it as low as I want it to be. But it looks so cool here. Look at that thing. It's amazing. Oh, I want to put the other wheel on, but I don't want to show you until we've got the height sorted. But man, that looks so cool. A bit closer. What did I do? I took the whole strut out. Now, I've done this basically because I want to see if the drive shaft is going to allow us to go that far. And I can get my finger just above there before it touches the chassis. So, it will go enough up there. You'll probably be able to see the wheel's gone right back in the arch, and that is because the track rod is touching the chassis. Now, it's on a taper, so the more I go up, the more it wants to go that way. So, yeah. That, plus this, with obviously you've got to account for the tyre squishing, and we got the rolling radius of the other wheels. That should put the skirt on the floor. But what I have just noticed is that, put that back on there, get that spirit level down, it's the same height. So that bolt just there is going to be on the floor before everything else. So it's pretty much as low as it's ever going to go because of these bolts here. We can get a smaller head on that bolt. That is a really big head on a bolt. But yeah, that's what's going on there. So we're getting somewhere. I like to do loads and loads of mock-ups because, basically if you start cutting things up and extending things and stuff like that, you could come into other problems down the line which you might not be able to fix. And at that point, you may as well not done the other bits, if that makes sense. So you just have to mock up everything before you get to this stage. But I think it will pretty much go on the floor. It's actually not going to go as low as I thought it was. This skirt's going to be like 10, 15 mil off the ground. but that's pretty low still, you know what I mean? You can see here that, you know, that here is going to sit before that as well. So, yeah, we've got, that is low enough there. Like, that is low enough. If we do a 3.5 inch lift on the strut top, the car should drop into the perfect position and it will sit on the floor. And with that track rod end hitting the chassis ever so slightly at that height, I'm pretty confident if I just hit the chassis with a hammer quite hard, it'll give us just enough clearance to make it work. But yeah. Right, okay, so I think we've got a good baseline on the front. Let's have a look at the back. Right, so strut, lower arm. What I'm basically gonna do now is take the strut out, top to bottom, bang the wheel on, and then that'll give us a whole indication, first off, where the wheel's gonna sit and stuff like that. This is such a short, you know, distance from here to here, so the likelihood is that the wheel is gonna try and go into here. So let's just see what happens, basically. Take the strut out and put a wheel on and stuff it up in there. Right, struts out, jack it up. Where do we sit? Please be okay. Look at the wheels, brilliantis. Ah. Shit. Oh no. No. Holy shit, man. That's not good. That is a big problem. Obviously, we've still got quite a bit of drop to go. And obviously the wheel's gone straight into the front of the arch. And we've got this big gap here, which is always gonna happen. But I was hoping it would just sort of tuck behind that trim. I'm gonna try the other wheel and see if it goes fully in there. But obviously I won't show you the wheel because I don't want to spoil the big surprise. And the other wheels actually do poke a little bit, so I've not got much hope, but I also know that the other tyres are not as balloony, basically, so they've got a little bit of stretch, so it should potentially tuck in behind it, even though it does poke a little bit. I don't know. Wishful thinking. I'll 2 seconds. We have problem. I'm not going to show you the wheel, but as you can see, it pokes quite a bit. And again, it's I'm going to just say that the wheels that we've got are 6.5J. They're not even big. And yeah, it's poking like it's like a 9J. This is an issue. Right. It's like -3 today. It's so cold. But I've been here measuring up some stuff, having a look, seeing what the best possible scenario is for the Ami. Now, obviously, we don't want to modify the car itself, like any of this structure here. Not that it's any good, but we don't want to modify any of this, really. So our option is to, make a new control arm that obviously bolts onto here, but then brings it in, which might be close to that in this. Anyway, I need to make a control arm that goes in and out, basically, so it brings the wheel back into the back of the arch and obviously gets it away from here, but then it also tucks in enough for the wheel to slip into there. Now, I figured it out that it needs like a 2-inch narrowing. The wheel's gonna sit like here, which is fine, it'll clear. This is like the pokiest thing out. So the wheel will sit there, and then if it goes up into the arch, it's gonna hit this plastic just here, and that will be an issue, but that will only hit that at like very, very full drop. So we might sacrifice a bit of height by not modifying this, because this is inside the car, so we don't really want to modify that if we can get away with it. But that's where we're standing. It doesn't really fit, which is so annoying. I mean, it's not ideal, but what can you do? We got the stuff, we got the wheels, we just need to put it on, and it's obviously, we knew it was going to be custom work, and it just ends up being a little bit more than we thought. It would have probably fitted, if we had skinnier wheels, it would have probably fitted in the arch, but you're going to have like 5.5J, 5J for it to tuck and air out onto the floor, which is going to look terrible. But with a bit of modification, bring the arms in, let's swallow them in, you can just fit. And I mean just fit. It's very, very tight, but I don't want to cut the thing to a million bits, but this has not gone as smooth as I'd imagined. Right, so on this absolutely freezing day, all I can say is this is not going to be a doddle. I did say it was going to be a doddle. It is relatively straightforward, but there is going to be fabrication involved in doing all of this. Now, I'm filming this the day before I go to France, so I can't really do anything until like next week, but this video will come out on Monday. The grand scheme of things is I'm going to start with the strut tops at the front, get those raised up, and then we know the front definitely going to drop on the floor. We already know the front's going to tuck in and the wheel's not an issue on that part. It's the back is the bigger issue now. So we obviously need to get the arms sunken in so we get the wheel in, and then we can get the wheel up into the arch. And if we don't do that first, then we can't do the rest of the management, because obviously we've got that tank. If we narrow the wheels, the tank is going to be so close to the wheels. I'm just going to have to wait until I can actually confirm that the wheels are not going to hit the tank, because it's going to be sunken in. It's going to be so close. If that is the case, we'll have to get a skinnier, like more bulbous tank. So yeah, it's a bit of a custom job this, but it was always going to be. And I can probably say comfortably that once this is all done, you'll never see another one with that amount of effort in. People will put like a different wheel on, but it's going to cause so much grief everywhere else for everyone that they're probably just not going to bother. So by the time this is done, this is going to be the only one ever and forever. We've seen a couple online that have been slightly lowered, and they're always nose down, and I can definitely see why. If we had really small 13s, it would probably be a lot easier. But we got 15s, and I think the whole thing is going to look so much better with the big wheels anyway. I know it's more work, but the end result will be worth it. I've seen it with the wheels that we've got for it, and they're cool. They suit it. They fit nice. They are on the front anyway. It will look bad man. As bad man as BJ London gets. So this is probably going to be the end of this video. This is just me showing how I go about things and how I look at things, and this is a massive stage of the build which a lot of people will just overlook, and you have to think of absolutely every single possible scenario, take a bunch of measurements, take a picture of all your measurements, and then go home, sit, flick through your measurements, just look at it, take loads of pictures. Because what will happen is you'll do all these measurements and you have a good idea in your head, but until you've sat on it and thought about it, sometimes it doesn't come straight to you, which has happened to me a few times. It's like I've gone, I'll just do this, and I've got to do it, and I've been like, well, why don't I think of that before, because I've rushed into it. Sit on it for at least 24 hours, because you might think of something better. Thank you for watching this video. If you're excited about the Ami, Hold tight. This is a lot of work, but a lot of work that I'm prepared to do. To look how cold it is in there, man. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and it will be on the floor if I'm allowed to do what I'm allowed to do, which I think I am. So yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like electric ambi content. There's going to be more videos on this. Stay tuned. I am balancing many things, but I think most of my attention is going to be on this in the next like couple of weeks, because this car is, well, topic of discussion right now, and it needs to be done. And I've got people watching now because I posted it online. If you post things online, you have to finish it. If you don't finish it, you're an idiot. So off we go, I guess. Thank you. Goodbye.